everybody. Thank you for watching. This is Ofelia Madrigal. I am a mental health and behavioral coach. I am based in California, and I am part of an international empowerment life coaches, and I am also the founder of Mind Your Mind Latina and Mind Your Mind Today, along with George. And today we're going to be sharing about what is intermittent fasting. And I'm going to present you George. George is a professional speaker. He's a master hypnotherapist and life coach with 25 years of experience in the field of health and psychology. And he's currently based in Thailand. Hey, George.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you pretty well. So I was informing our audience that we're going to be sharing a little bit about what is intermittent fasting and our experience with it.
Okay.
How you doing?
I'm doing very well. So I guess what we can just hop right in. So I have a PowerPoint here that I can
absolutely
share. So let me just figure out share the screen thing again. Okay.
Take your time.
There is the share the screen thing. All right. Do you see my screen? Is that all right?
I see it. Yeah.
All right. I'm just gonna make this kind of a. There we go. How does that look? Does that look okay?
That looks great. I like the colors. Very attractive.
Nice and fresh.
I'm getting hungry now.
So one of the reasons I just as an intro for the presentation. So we're going to talk about intermittent fasting lifestyle. I chose lifestyle here at the beginning of the slide for one reason, is that intermittent fasting is not a diet. You're not going to do it to lose weight and then stop. Intermittent fasting is something you're going to do for the rest of your life, right? This is something that's going to be a lifestyle from today until you're 100 years old.
Ooh, yeah.
It will help you to lose weight. It'll do a lot of other benefits that we're gonna talk about, as you see with the title. And I'm also going to show how to start intermittent fasting, which is actually quite easy, and the best routine depending on what you want to accomplish, whether it's a health issue or whether it's just want to lose some weight or whether you just want to be in general more healthy. I'll give you the options for that. But I chose some little pictures of vegetables here because intermittent fasting alone is not enough, right? We also, if we're going to do this, it's about being healthy. Mm-hmm. So, the vegetable there are a hint that when you are eating, because fasting is when you're not eating, so when you are eating, you do need to eat properly, right? Yeah, so that's a sort of a little hint towards that. And well, the picture looks nice too, but it's kind of a hint towards that aspect of it. So with that in mind, I'm going to just jump into the presentation here. So I thought I'd start with a little word of wisdom from Benjamin Franklin. So Benjamin is probably one of the most intelligent men in history. He was an absolute genius. And one of the things he said was the best of all medicines are resting and fasting.
Look at that.
And very, very true. That if we look at health issues in the world, and you look at statistics, 90% of all illness is made worse by stress. Almost every illness and sickness and disease is made worse by stress. So resting is definitely one of the best medicines you can have, and fasting for a lot of reasons adds on to that. And we're gonna go through that. But I thought I'd start with this little word of wisdom because it's and also to show that fasting's been around for thousands and thousands of years. This is not something new, like, oh, it's a new craze or this or that. People have been fasting since the dawn of time.
Oh, wow.
We are made to fast. We are not made to eat 6 times a day every day. That is not the way our bodies are designed. And I can get into the science of that and why that is, but yeah, we are not designed to eat 5-6 times a day. And to prove that, the eating of that many times per day is only a recent thing, about after the 1990s, 2000s, when this really started to happen, eating that often. And if you want to look at the rise in cancer and diabetes and other illnesses that happened after that date, it kind of speaks for itself, right? All these illnesses exponentially got worse. Obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular problems, all got exponentially worse since the 90s. And since the 90s is when we all started eating 5 or 6 times a day and snacking all the time. I remember when I was young, I mean, I'd say, can I have a snack? And, you know, my parents would say, you know, you're going to wreck your dinner. No, you can't, right? Or after dinner, before bed, it's like, you know, can I have some little bit of ice cream or something? It's like, no, you should have had more at dinner. You know, you wait for breakfast, right?
Yeah.
And this is like back in the 70s and stuff. So at that time, we didn't have all these snacks, and people were much healthier. We didn't fast at the time, but we weren't eating 5 or 6 times a day. So it has to do with insulin spikes and changes in hormones and stuff. But yeah, eating too often is definitely a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. There is nobody out there that is telling us that. It's the other way around. When you turn on the TV, or you can see is hamburgers, tacos, fast food, and everything that is out there.
Well, also, I mean, there was a time about 10 years ago where it was eating 5 times per day, 6 times per day is the best thing you can do for your health, right? This was a thing that was out there in the health community. The idea was it was going to raise your metabolism because you were always digesting food and you always had something going on. The theory was kind of sound, but the science was completely wrong. It proved that it was, yeah, it had very little effect on your metabolism except to completely screw it up. But yeah, I went through that point where I was eating 5, 6 times a day as well because, oh, hey, that looks like it's a great thing to do. But then we found out that that wasn't the case.
That wasn't the case.
But, actually, if we go back just in history and follow nature, fasting is the way to do it, because cavemen, they would feast when they had the buffalo, and when the buffalo went running away, they'd be like 1-2 weeks with no food while they were trying to catch up. And that's the way we're made, that you know, we're meant to go long periods of time without food, not too long, but we're meant to go, you know, a week and a half very comfortably without food. And, you know, once we get past like, you know, 3-4 weeks, then we start getting into some problems. But, you know, for a couple weeks is perfectly the way our bodies are designed. Let's jump into the benefits, because now we know our bodies are designed that way. If they're designed that way, obviously they're going to give us some benefits. Obviously they're made to do certain things when we're fasting, right? So if we jump over here, we have some benefits of fasting. So I'm just going to, now these are not all the benefits, because our presentation here is just going to be 20-30 minutes. It's a small kind of presentation. And there's probably 3-4 times more benefits than this that I could probably put down, but these are the biggest ones, I think. And these are the most important ones, I think, for people right now.
All right.
The first is reversing insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is the precursor to type 2 diabetes. So what happens is we gain insulin resistance, it reaches a threshold, and then poof, you are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And the world tells you your life is basically over and you're screwed. But that's actually not true, because you can cure type 2 diabetes, but the problem is the cure for type 2 diabetes is free, and nobody makes any money off of it. So yeah, so doctors don't tend to promote it, and the cure for type 2 diabetes is fasting. And I can go into how it reverses insulin resistance. The science is very, very interesting, but we'll just start off with going through these first. So reversing insulin resistance. The second thing is reversing fatty liver. So we're talking about non-alcoholic fatty liver, or non-alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver. So not from alcohol, but cirrhosis of the liver from too much fat in the liver. This is a huge problem. If you want to know if you have fatty liver, just look at your stomach. That's it. Because if you have any kind of distension, if your stomach is kind of poking out, people say, well, you're getting kind of fat. You got to realize the fat doesn't come on the outside of your body first. The fat goes in around your organs first. Only after it's there does it push out. So if your belly is distended or your stomach is poking out quite a bit, you can pretty much 90% certainty tell you have fatty liver. Right? That's pretty much a guarantee. It's not an absolute guarantee. It could be just a fat deposit on the outside, but 90%, if you have distension in the stomach where it's poking out, 90% chance you have a fatty liver.
Wow.
And that will lead to cirrhosis. Cirrhosis is when the liver dies, right? It becomes scar tissue, dead and non-functional.
Yeah.
Now, The problem with this is your liver can operate even when it's down to about 20%. So you could have half your liver destroyed and no symptoms yet. So you can think, yeah, my stomach's a bit big, but I feel fine, right? And yeah, you do feel fine because your liver can operate up down to a 20% functionality, 80% of it destroyed, only 20% left. It can still function. It's having a hard time. But once it gets into that 20%, that's when all the big problems happen. And by then it's too late. Once you have cirrhosis, that cannot be reversed. Fatty liver can be reversed.
Yeah, definitely.
You can't wait until you have symptoms. You've got to take care of it before you have symptoms. So if you see that distension in your stomach, you got to take some action on it. It's not just a matter of looking good for the beach. It's a matter of making sure you don't die of some horrible liver disease. It seems really harsh to say it that way, but really,
I wanted to say, do you have any statistics about the people who actually have fatty liver? Because as you mentioned that they have this kind of like, you know, kind of like extended tummy. Stomach. I'm thinking, well, 10 out of people, I want to say that at least 7 people have, you know, you can see the
remember, fatty liver can be reversed. Fatty liver can be reversed. Once it turns into cirrhosis, it can't. So as the liver cells start to die, you're in trouble. But if it's just the fat deposits, you have a chance of reversing it and healing it by getting the fat out of the liver. And you can do that. But the only way, actually, there's only one way of getting the fat out of the liver, and it's fasting. There's no other way to do it. Because you have to use that energy, right? So fatty liver is the reason you get that distension in your stomach is not really because of fat deposits in your stomach. What happens is your liver, I guess they can see the picture of me as well, but I'll try to describe. I think my video's on my video on the recording as well of me talking as well. It is?
Yeah, it is. It is. So we can see your hand movements. Yeah.
Okay, so if I put my hands up here, like here's your normal liver. Now, when you get fatty liver, fat deposits in your liver, it doesn't stay like this, right? It goes like this. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? That's what's causing your stomach to push out. It's not the fat on your tummy that's pushing out. It's that your liver is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. As your liver gets bigger, it pushes the stomach out, right? So that's really what's happening. That's why I say when you look at your stomach and you can see that distension, you probably have fatty liver. Because space has to go somewhere, right? So it'll just push it out. So that's an important one that needs to be addressed. Fat loss, well, fat loss is good for so many reasons, right? We delete type 2 diabetes, we delete cirrhosis of the liver. Just being fat has so many problems associated with it. Sleep apnea, trouble breathing, cardiovascular issues, plaque in the arteries and veins starts to come up with, and you feel tired all the time, you don't have energy. Fat is just, too much fat on your body is just bad in so many ways. So getting rid of that is, I think, a really big thing for most people. So I put that as one of the main benefits because what's happening while you're fasting is the mechanics of evolution is that when we eat, food goes in, and then we use it. What we don't use, because food's going in, the body's going, yep, we've got food going in, let's keep some of it for later, right? But it can't keep it in the stomach, it can't keep it in the intestines, it takes it, throws it out, right? It'll become toxic if they keep the food. So it takes the nutrients out of the food, and it goes, okay, we're gonna use this much, and we're gonna take the rest, and we're gonna put it into lipids, or fat, and we're gonna store it in the liver. When the liver gets full, it starts storing it around the organs. When that gets full, it starts storing it around the outside of the body, right? It has different layers of where it's going to store this potential energy for when we don't have food, right? Because the body's going, okay, there's times in life that I'm not going to have food, so I have to keep the food as fat, so when those times come up, I can use that fat, right? But the problem is none of us are using that fat. We're keeping it, and we're getting more and more and more, and we're accumulating more stores. We're filling the warehouse, as it were, but we're never emptying the warehouse. But we're designed to empty the warehouse, not just fill the warehouse, right? We're designed to put stuff in, and when we don't have stuff to put in, we take stuff out. That's the easiest way for the analogy. It's like a two-step process. Food goes in, the doors of the warehouse open, we put some stuff in. Oh, there's no food going in. We open the doors of the warehouse and some food comes out, so we don't starve to death, right? We use the fat. So this is how our bodies work. And this is the problem of eating 5 times per day. We're always putting stuff in the warehouse. We're never taking stuff out of the warehouse. So that's where the issue comes into play. So the next aspect is protecting your brain. So here we have BDNF, which stands for brain-derived neurotropic factor. Now this is a factor, I guess. It's kind of like an enzyme kind of a thing, but it's a factor. And what it does is it promotes the development of new neurons in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you see people in Silicon Valley. Oh, everyone in Silicon Valley is doing intermittent fasting. Well, why are they doing intermittent fasting? They're eating terribly. They're having chocolate bars and cookies and chips and stuff while they're at their computers, but they're doing intermittent fasting. Well, they're not being a very healthy lifestyle. They're not doing it for health. Because in Silicon Valley, you need to be the top. They're all geniuses. So they got to be a little bit better of a genius than their neighbor in order to survive in that environment. So they know intermittent fasting is going to improve cognitive function. It's going to improve memory. It's going to improve creativity. It's going to help them develop new brain cells very quickly, which will create new connections, which will allow them to think faster and come up with new ideas, right? So that's why Silicon Valley, it's such a big craze, because it helps them to focus their mind.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it also protects your brain. So in addition to giving you new brain cells, focusing your mind, improving your memory, it also protects the hippocampus of the brain. Now the hippocampus is what ends up happening when you get deterioration there, causes Alzheimer's, right? So if you want to prevent Alzheimer's, you got to start fasting. And if you have Alzheimer's, you can start fasting, and it won't cure Alzheimer's, but it probably will help relieve the symptoms of it and improve it. But once you have it, you have it. It's like that cirrhosis of the liver. You're kind of a little bit screwed by that point. But you can still help it through fasting. But if you don't have it, you can prevent it through fasting, right? You can prevent it by protecting the hippocampus. So you can really protect your brain. Another aspect is your brain really likes ketones for energy. It never works 100% on ketones, but once your body is fat adapted, where it's used to using ketones for energy instead of carbohydrates, the brain will end up using up to 80% of ketones for energy instead of carbohydrates. It likes it better. It's a cleaner fuel, right? So this also protects your brains on that aspect, in addition to the BDNF. And then another final thing here is an improved immune system. Now I put this benefit is usually seen 24 to 48 hours because it takes a longer time for the mechanisms to come into play for the improved immune system. Basically, after 24 hours, or at about the 24-hour mark, you start to get a lot of changes in the gut, and the stomach starts to kind of more detoxify. Different enzymes are released. We get an increase in oxidative stress. And it takes this long because what's happening is ketones are an antioxidant. They're energy, right? But they're also an antioxidant. And your body always balances itself, right? So as we go further into a fast, the body goes, okay, well, we're exponentially starting to clean up problems within the body, like using, I just woke up, what's the term? It's right on the tip of my brain. The one that eats all the bad cells. I can't believe I forgot the term right now. But
it'll come back to your mind and you'll let us know.
Yeah, I just woke up. So there we go. Yeah, I'm fasting right now. There's a testament to improved brain function.
There you go.
But yeah, and people might see my cup. Well, are you fasting? This is just black coffee only. You're allowed to have a black
coffee.
Sugar
or no sugar?
No sugar, no milk.
Nothing.
Can't have sugar or milk. None of that. Just only black coffee if you're in your fast.
What about stevia, which it has become very popular? People think that because they are adding stevia, they are fine.
No.
Yeah.
The problem is, yes, it's no calories and stuff like that, but the problem is, as an artificial sweetener, it does still cause an insulin reaction in the body. And the whole thing about what we're doing with fasting is we want to turn off the insulin response. We want to reverse insulin resistance, which means we want to lower the insulin in the body. We want to reverse type 2 diabetes, right? Or we don't want to be going that direction. So when you use stevia or an artificial sweetener, or like a 0 calorie or 0 sugar drink, the problem is those artificial sweeteners still cause an insulin response, which means they break your fast. So
that is the purpose of fasting.
You lost all the benefits of what you're doing.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to, but we'll go into that on the next section where we talk about how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just to summarize the improved immune system, between 20 and 48 hours, because we have more oxidative stress, cellular autophagy, there we go, that's the term
There you go, it came back. Say that again, repeat it.
Cellular autophagy. So autophagy is where the body's gotten to a point where now it's, this is where the one myth about fasting comes from, where they tell, oh, your body's gonna eat its own muscle.
Yeah.
It's like, your body is not that stupid. Nature is not that stupid. If after 24 hours your body is eating its own muscle, you can imagine Mr. Caveman. There goes the buffalo. They're running away. Oh no, I have to go catch the buffalo or I'm not going to eat. It's going to take him a week to a week and a half to catch up to the herd, to do some hunting and get some meat back on the table, get some food back on the table. So he's not going to be eating for the next 7 days. If the body devoured its own muscle in that time, he'd never be able to kill the buffalo by the time he got there. The human race would be extinct.
True. That's so interesting. Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. But yes, the body does eat its protein, but it does not eat the protein from muscles. Because within our bodies, we have a lot of damaged cells, right? Sunlight, the radiation from the sun damages some cells. Toxins in the environment damage some cells. Lots of different things cause cells to have damage. So during cellular autophagy, the body is now going, okay, well, we have to use our fat stores. Things are happening. There's a problem. We got to become more efficient. So we have all this garbage around the house. We keep tripping over. It's not very efficient. So the body goes, okay, it's time to clean up because we got to get our act together because we don't have food available. We got to start working a different way, right? We have to clean up and become efficient. Just like caveman had to become efficient, right? Our body has to do what it's designed to do, not take a break anymore. So in cellular autophagy, it grabs all these dead, broken cells and it recycles them. So it takes all these damaged proteins and it recycles all those damaged proteins. Those are the proteins that it devours, not the cells of your muscles, right? So as this starts to happen, it has oxidative stress. So this happens at 28 to 48 hours because there's not enough ketones in the body yet. And you're not eating, so you're not putting antioxidants in your body yet, right? So there's no antioxidants. If we have oxidative stress and no antioxidants to stop the oxidation, we would damage our body. Our bodies aren't stupid, right? Our bodies are very intelligent. So at 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours, we have a lot more ketones in the body, right? This elevated ketones. And ketones are antioxidants. They protect the body from oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is like acids and stuff that the body releases to devour and destroy funguses and molds and bacterias and all this kind of stuff, right? So now we have these antioxidants that are coming up. They're protecting the brain, they're protecting the heart, they're protecting the lungs. And now the body starts to release all these enzymes and oxidative stress into the body to devour all these garbage cells, to get rid of the molds, the yeasts, all the problems in the body that have been accumulating. It starts to clean them up, right? But it takes 28 to 48 hours because it takes that long for the body's ketone levels to come up to a point where it can offset the oxidation, right? And when we clean up the gut, our immune system is tied to our digestive system. right? Because it has to do with our nutrition. If our body can't metabolize our nutrition properly, we can't have a good immune system. So during that 24 to 48 hours, it's cleaning up that digestive tract. It's putting good bacteria in, it's taking bad bacteria out, it's getting rid of parasites, it's getting rid of molds and yeasts. It's becoming more efficient. And then as a result, our immune system gets boosted, which is really great right now during COVID-19 problem. We want to have a strong immune system.
Absolutely.
Today I'm doing a 24-hour fast. I'll do another 24-hour fast on Friday. Next week will be 2 24-hour fasts, and the week after I'll do a 48-hour fast.
Wow. So how many times do you do, or how often do you do the 48 hours fast?
Once a month.
Once a month.
Well, actually not once a month, because I do 4 weeks of fasting, 1 week off, 4 weeks of fasting, 1 week off. So there'll be 3 weeks of 2 24s and 1 week of a 48.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then a week off. So then it's a 5-week cycle. So it's not exactly once a month, but yeah, once in every 5-week period for me. So I really want to improve that immune system, and I really want to really attack the insulin resistance and fatty liver problem that I have.
You do? Oh, yeah.
Well, some of the symptoms, symptoms of fatty liver, the stomach distension, definitely been seeing that. But I've lost what, 27 pounds since December total.
Really? That is amazing.
And we're now.
Is that planned? Is that intentional? Is that something that you had on your schedule, or you were pretty much testing?
It's part of what I want to, because I want to get the fat out, right? We want to use the fat to reverse the fatty liver, because obviously my stomach was distended. So I say, okay, this is the problem. I got to reverse it. And I was seeing some symptoms of insulin resistance. The symptoms I was noticing was a little bit some sleep disturbances, going to the bathroom too often. A precursor to diabetes, you'll start to go to pee more often in the day. And the frequency had increased, and that's not necessarily a symptom. It could be just drinking more water or something, but a combination of the sleep, a combination of that, and a couple skin tags that have developed in the body. And skin tags can also be a symptom of insulin resistance. So I thought, when I total all these together, I'm thinking, and I look at my diet for the last 5 years, it's like, yeah, I'm pretty much 90% sure I'm on my way to type 2 diabetes. I got to turn this around. So yeah, that was one thing reason why I started.
You did start the fasting to reverse the insulin resistance, and is that also fatty liver? Is that what you said?
Yeah, when I looked at my life to where I was going and the path, and I, 47 years old and in the worst physical condition of my life, with the distension in the stomach, and kind of, I was like 210, 214 pounds or something. And when I got to Thailand 18 years ago, I was 160 pounds. So I thought, okay, well, this is not going in the right direction. And both my parents have type 2 diabetes and stuff like that. So I'm thinking, well, it's also, it's not hereditary, but there is a genetic predisposition.
Especially you continue to eat the same products and same, the way, preparing the same meals, the way that your parents used to prepare those meals.
And there's lots of rice in Thailand.
A lot to do with behavior. Yeah,
there's lots of rice in Thailand. And the problem with rice is I never get full eating rice. I can never feel full. Give me a plate of pasta, I'll feel full. A plate of rice, I could probably finish 5 plates off and still not feel full.
Wow, in Thailand they eat a lot of rice, is that what you said?
Oh, rice for breakfast, rice for lunch, rice for dinner in Thailand. It's rice every single meal. Rice for
crazy. Dessert. That is super crazy. Yeah.
So.
Do you also start doing the fasting to protect your brain?
That was just an added benefit. There's so much really great stuff, because my background being in psychology, the combination of fasting combined with exercise and how that affects your brain and cognition is just staggering what it can do for you. If you combine exercise and fasting together, the impact it has on your cognitive function. That's a whole 2-hour lecture right there. or maybe even 4. I could probably go on for 4.
We can actually, as you said, we can get another lecture from this presentation.
Yeah, if people are interested in the brain aspects, I can combine the fitness and the fasting into a brain talk. If any of our audience is interested in seeing that, I can definitely expand on that for them later.
Yeah.
So here's the main benefits and a little bit of a talk between us on how that all works. So these are the benefits, but how do we make it happen, right? How do we start? How do we reverse?
How do we start? Yeah.
Right? And remember, it's a lifestyle. It's not something we're going to do and stop. We're going to do it forever. We're never going to stop doing it, right? It's going to be a lifestyle now.
Exactly. I like that. I like that. And that's something that we probably have to repeat more often, or repeat it, because people think this is a diet thing that you can do intermittent fasting 1 month, maybe 6 months, and then just pretty much throw it away. You know, it's not. It is a lifestyle.
Yep. Because diets don't work. I mean, you can just look at you just drop the T. You die. Right? Diets don't work. If you want to be healthy and fit and look good and not worry about your health, you have to have a lifestyle that you're going to follow for the rest of your life.
Totally agree with you. Yeah.
And it's not that hard. I mean, people think, well, gee, I want to become a rabbit and eat all these vegetables. I don't like vegetables. I'm a carnivore, right? I'm a T-Rex. I had crocodile for dinner yesterday, right? So
crocodile.
Or not yesterday, but the day before yesterday, I had crocodile. But the thing is that the more you eat some vegetables, I mean, I never liked them when I was a kid growing up. I never liked them as an adult. But now I love vegetables. After eating them more, after thinking, okay, I need to eat this specific vegetables to support my fast in the best way, my mind just turned around and said, this is delicious. This is as delicious as chocolate. Really. It's different. Yeah. It tastes different than chocolate, of course, but when I eat it, it's like my body is rewarding me. It's like going, yeah, this is actually really delicious. It didn't used to be, but now that I know the reason to eat it, now that I've started eating it, the progression is like, it was okay. It started to taste better. And now it's like, wow, vegetables are delicious.
This is the power of reframing, right? Because at first you were probably telling yourself negative things about vegetables based on negative experience that you had when you were little. But then it is reframing. Now you're telling yourself, you're creating this kind of mindset that is going to allow you to actually, feel good when you're eating vegetables.
For me, it wasn't a reframe, because a reframe is a conscious choice, right? That vegetables are good for me, I'm going to eat them because there's benefits. That's a reframe. Okay, maybe they don't taste the best, but they're okay. That would be a reframe. But them becoming delicious was not a conscious choice. You can't decide something is delicious, right? That was my body. Yeah, that's my body going, well, hey, wait a minute. I'm feeling a lot different. I'm looking a lot better. Maybe there's something to this. Maybe I should reward George for giving me some good stuff.
There you go, a reward system.
The body itself starts to reward you. And the best way the body can reward you is by making the things that are healthy for it taste delicious for you. And your body can change that taste. And your mind will just go, it didn't used to taste this good. But your body will reward you after time. Things will start tasting better and better and better. And you'll go, wait a minute, chocolate bar or some lettuce?
I know you become pretty selective, and you do it at a subconscious level, right? Because it is kind of like your second brain kicking in.
Yeah, so usually I'll choose the lettuce. I love chocolate. I still eat chocolate. But I can choose. I can go, okay, well, I had a chocolate bar on Sunday. I want a snack. Should I have lettuce or chocolate? For me, they both taste as delicious now. They didn't used to. But now they're both as delicious. I'm like, well, I had a chocolate bar on Sunday. I'll have another one next Sunday. I'll just have a lettuce today, right, for my dessert. So I don't actually have snacks anymore. I just have my meals. I don't snack between. But yeah, for my dessert, sometimes I'll just a little extra salad, or I'll put a little bit of or a yogurt, and I'll just load up some sour cream, or load up some whipped cream on yogurt.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's okay, because it's only one little thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not every day, and only during one meal. I'm fasting between meals also.
Yeah, there you go.
So if you take care of yourself, you can cheat a little. There's no
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, exactly. I think we need
But
to be gentle with
you
ourselves.
can't cheat in the middle of your fast. That's the only place you can't cheat. But when you're breaking your fast, you can cheat a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If your meal is 80% healthy and 20% not so healthy, that's a win. You don't have to be 100% healthy all the time. You have to follow your fast 100% because as soon as you break the fast, all the benefits that you get after that are gone. It's just on off. So fasting you have to restrict. But during the time where you can eat, oh, I'm doing good. I want to have a chocolate bar today for dessert.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why not? Right?
Why not? Yeah, I agree.
Be kind to yourself. You can still be kind to yourself and have huge results. So I want to really point that out as well. That's about being
Yeah,
kind.
thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
So let's go off into how to start your fast. My first point is stop eating. That's it. As soon as you put down your spoon,
As simple as that.
yeah. As soon as you put down your spoon, you've started fasting. Now, whether you're fasting for 30 minutes, which gains you no benefit whatsoever, and then you have a snack, or you're fasting for 48 hours where you have huge benefits, is completely up to you. But everyone listening to this video fasts because as soon as you stop putting food in your mouth, technically, you're fasting because you're not putting food in, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So if you think you can't fast, guess what? You're probably fasting right now watching the video, unless you're eating while you're watching the video, but you're probably fasting while you're watching the video. The problem is you're probably only fasting for 30 minutes before you grab some chips, in which case it takes about 2 hours for your insulin to drop after you've eaten, at least 2 to 3 hours. So your insulin levels are high and you're snacking and they stay high. That's where the problems occur. It's all about the insulin. It's not about the fat or this or that. It's all about the insulin. Stop thinking about fat. Start thinking about insulin. Insulin's on or insulin's off. If insulin is in the body, you cannot get your fat out. Or it's very, very difficult. You can, but it's extremely difficult to get the fat out of your body if your insulin levels are high. It's almost impossible, right? That's why you see people in the gym that are eating 5-6 times a day. They're working out like crazy for 2 or 3 hours a day at the gym, and they're not losing any weight. Because it's not about the exercise.
Yeah, that was my personal experience for many, many years.
Yeah, it's about that switch, right? I mean, food going in, fat gets stored. No food going in, fat gets used. So if you're eating, and the storage mechanism is called insulin. Insulin moves the stuff into the body, moves it into fat. When there's no insulin, a different process activates when the insulin is low, and that's taking the fat and moving it out. But as long as insulin's in front of the warehouse, nothing gets out of the warehouse. That's a way of thinking of it, right? Yeah. So if you're, and since it takes about, you've eaten, insulin standing in front of the warehouse, ready to stuff some more stuff in, he's on the job, he's working, you've stopped eating, but he's just waiting for the next bite to come. After 2 to 3 hours, no bites are coming. He's gone off and he's sit at a chair on the corner, still waiting for some food to come in. Nothing's coming. So after about 6 hours, he goes home, right? So you need at least 4 to 6 hours of no food for your insulin levels to go home, in a sense, to drop. And at that point, your body's going, okay, well, we've used our carbohydrates already in the last 6 hours. No more food's coming in. We have to start revving up the mechanisms in the body that start metabolizing the fat and using that for energy. Yeah. And that process starts to change over and switch over. Between usually 6 to 8 hours it starts. It really kicks in at around 16 hours, right? At 16 hours, it's really kicking in and going. And at 24 hours up, it kind of goes up exponentially for each hour as much as it starts using. So as soon as you put down your spoon, you've started fasting, but you got to remember Mr. Insulin, he hasn't gone home yet. He's not going to go home for 6 hours. So you got to stop eating for longer than 6 hours to lower your insulin levels.
Wow, interesting.
So that's why we have the time length of fasting, right? Because we have to get Mr. Insulin to go home.
Mhm.
As long as he's there, we can't use the fat. And as long as he's there, he's contributing to type 2 diabetes. We got to get him gone so we can reduce type 2 diabetes. Would you like me to give the train analogy to them for what type 2 diabetes is?
Absolutely, yeah, because not many people knows what is the difference among type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Thank you.
Type 1, you got to have insulin. Type 1, you really should see a doctor, and you really probably shouldn't be fasting if you have type 1 diabetes. You could, but you have an issue that with insulin that's a big problem. That you need insulin and your body's not functioning properly with type 1. So fasting is not recommended. If you do want to do it, you've really got to do it with your doctor on type 1 diabetes. Type 2, on the other hand, is very, very different. They're not the same whatsoever. Type 2 diabetes has to deal with the fact of too much insulin in the body. People think it's the blood sugar, and we measure the blood sugar, right? Why do we measure the blood sugar? Because checking the blood sugar is a ton cheaper than checking the insulin. To check the insulin levels in the body, the test required is a lot more expensive than the test to test the blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is they test the blood sugar. Your blood sugar is high. Okay, you have type 2 diabetes. But the problem is insulin resistance. Now, insulin and sugar are both toxic to the body in high amounts, right? Yeah. Blood sugar is toxic. Insulin is also very toxic at high levels. And this is where type 2 diabetes kicks in, because if the body gets to a point where it goes, no more insulin, and it won't put more into the body. So the body's going, no more insulin. We're not going to put more in because it's too toxic, and it's more toxic than sugar. So we're going to choose the lesser of two evils, and we'll let the sugar go up, but we're not going to put any more insulin in. That's what nature has designed us to. We've reached the limit. We're not going to put more insulin because it's toxic. It's going to kill us. So what does the medical community do? They inject insulin into you.
Wow. Isn't it that crazy?
And really, what's happening? It's not taking that sugar out of the blood and getting it out of your body. All it's doing is pushing that sugar from your bloodstream into your cells. It's not getting it out of your body. It's like having a dirty kitchen and thinking, well, gee, I got this really dirty kitchen. Let's grab all the garbage and stick it under the sink where no one can see it. Well, gee, my kitchen's clean. No, it's not. Right? And that's exactly what the medical community is doing with type 2 diabetes, which is really shocking. And to understand insulin resistance, let's take a train. So we're going to give 3 parts to this train. The train itself is your cells, right? Mm-hmm. Right. The station is your bloodstream. The conductor is insulin, and the people are sugar or glucose, right? So here we have glucose coming into the bloodstream, into the station, and the conductor, insulin, is going, okay, here, get on the train, and you know, your blood sugar goes up when you eat, and the insulin goes up, and the blood sugar goes down. Why? Because the glucose is being transferred into the cells where it can be used for energy or storage or whatever, and there's the process. Then the train goes, another train comes later on, everything's working great. Now here comes the problem. Blood sugar levels are getting high. We put people on the train. Train hasn't left the station yet, and we're putting more glucose. More people are getting in the station. So now, oh, there's not enough conductors. We get a few more conductors, a little bit more insulin, because now we got to get more people onto the train, out of the bloodstream into the cells, right? Glucose out of the bloodstream into the cells. So now the train's full. Oh no, what's going on? More people are coming into the station. More glucose is coming into the bloodstream. So the body goes, we need more conductors. We need more insulin to push these people onto the train, to really fit them in because the train's full. So we need some conductors to push them in now. So more conductors, more insulin, and then it pushes more glucose into the cells, so the blood sugar still drops, right? It's still looking like it's normal, but it's not, because now your insulin levels are starting to go up and up and up. More conductors to push the people into the full train, right? And finally, it gets to the point where the station goes, hey, that's it. We have no more conductors. We're not going to hire more conductors because it's going to destroy the station. Yeah. So no more insulin. We can't give you more insulin. We have enough conductors. And those conductors are trying to push all these people onto the train. The insulin is trying to push all this glucose into the cells, but it can't do it because the train is so stuffed. The cells are so stuffed with insulin, it can't push any more inside. So now what happens? More people are coming in the station, more glucose is coming into the bloodstream. So your blood sugar starts going up. But you're not getting more insulin. Why? Because the body goes, any more of these conductors, we're going to have a problem in the station, right? We are not going to give you more conductors because this is bad. But more people keep coming in the station. So what do doctors do? They bring in some extra conductors. They supplement the insulin to lower the blood sugar, to push more people onto a train that's already full, push more glucose into a cell that's already stuffed. Right? This is and then at that point where it comes where there's no more conductors, that's where we call type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
As we're hiring conductors and those insulin levels are rising, we call that insulin resistance. So you're on the way to type 2 diabetes. And when it gets to the maximum where it won't do anymore, that's where you hit type 2 diabetes.
Right. That was a great analogy. Thank you for sharing that, George.
Yeah, because a lot, like even for me, when I heard that analogy, because I knew what type 2 diabetes was through study and everything, but that analogy just made it such a more clear picture.
It kind of makes sense, right? Kind of things. So those questions that you had in your mind kind of start clicking and making more sense about the way, why are you feeling the way you're feeling? And why is it that not even one medicine and insulin and everything that doctors are putting into your body is not actually working? And so you pretty much become dependent.
Yeah, so if we look at the train analogy, all you need to do is stop people coming into the station. Give the train time to move on. Let the conductors go home. Let a new train come so that you can fit the people in.
Yes.
Right? So how do you stop glucose from going into the blood? You stop eating.
Fasting. Intermittent fasting.
You give a chance for the people to come off the train.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because they will come off the train. That's why when you're fasting, at about a 12-hour part of your fast, if you measure your blood sugar, at 12 to 16 hours, also at 24 hours, you're going to see spikes in your blood sugar. You're not eating anything. How is your blood sugar going up? Well, your body is taking that stuff out of the cells. So now it's coming out of the cell back into the bloodstream to be able to be used. Right? So when you fast, you're going to see spikes in your blood sugar, even though you're not eating anything. There is the science. You can even check that science for yourself. If you're pre-diabetic, if you're checking your blood sugar, when you do your fast, every 5 hours, check your blood sugar. You'll see that you'll start spiking blood sugar at about probably 16 hours, 20 hours, 24 hours, you'll spike your blood sugar, even though you're not eating anything. So that'll show you that things are starting to come out. They're starting to get used.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is really important. So
I'm impressed about our body, you know, the mechanism of our body and the things, the potential that we do have and things that we can do to help our body perform at their best. That is awesome.
Exactly. All we have to do is follow nature. Let our bodies react the way nature intended. And our bodies are made to fast. They're made to go long periods, not too long. Too long comes starvation, right? But starvation doesn't happen for quite a long time, right? So our bodies are meant to go a week, week and a half, 2 weeks, even up to 30 days. 30 days is pretty rough. It's not meant to do that very often to go 30 days, that's for sure. But it's possible to do that very comfortably. The longest fast in history so far is, I think, almost 400 days of no food that someone fasted. So we're never going to do that. That's not a healthy fast. I'll tell you that right now. But, you know, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, your body is, it's going, this is fine. Even up like a 7-day fast, your body's going, this is no problem at all. We're doing great. We're fine. We're not starving yet. If you want to think of a person who's really good shape, imagine a person with a 6-pack, with like really defined muscles, very low body fat. That person probably has about 300 to 400,000 extra calories of fat in their body they can use.
That is insane.
So you're using, on average, an average person is between 1,600 and 1,800 calories per day we need for life. So even a person who has a low body fat percentage that's ripped, that's in great shape, they have 300,000 calories at their disposal. So Even if they didn't eat anything, how many days could they go at 1,800 calories per day? And they got 300,000 available to them. Our bodies are meant to fast, right? So there's no need to worry about, oh, if I fast too long. You're not going to fast too long, right? You'd have to go months to fast too long. So don't ever worry about that. Should it be 24 or 48 hours? Really, it's not a problem. You could go 72 and you'll be just fine.
And it can actually, it seems to be like a mission impossible when you say like 24 hours without fasting. That even happens to me. I was like, what? No way.
I remember when I told
it was actually a lot easier. Yeah.
But the way I do it is so much easier than the way some people do it. So I'm actually, the easiest way, that's a point number 2 that I put here, right? Easiest to start your fast in the evening due to hunger usually sets in 3 to 4 hours after you eat, and then you'll be sleeping. So one thing that happens is you're going to start to use ketones at 12 hours, right? In addition to being a fuel source and an antioxidant, ketones are also an appetite suppressant. So once you start using ketones in your body, your hunger will drop, right? So at about 12, 16 hours, you're going to be less hungry than you were at 4 to 5 hours. So that's why people go, oh, 4 hours, I'm so hungry, 5 hours, I'm so hungry. How can I possibly do this? The hungriest you're going to be is at that 4-hour mark. At a 24-hour mark, you're going to be less hungry than you were at the 4-hour mark.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I've been there.
And this is from doing it over and over again. I can tell you this is the way it goes. That's why I start my fast in the evening. I eat about 9 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. I go to bed at midnight, 1 in the morning is when I go to bed. So when that hunger would normally set in, I'm sleeping. I don't have to deal with it. I'm sleeping. I don't have to feel it. And
so you can be 12 hours without even remembering a figure, thinking of, hey, 12 hours.
I ate at 8:30 last night. I went to bed at 2 a.m. and I woke up at 11. So basically, well, I had dinner at 8:30. I finished eating at 9. So I'm at 14 hours by the time I woke up. So I woke up and I'm fasting 14 hours already. I got 10 hours to go. I'm way past halfway, right? So if you start in the evening, it's so easy because the highest part of your hunger will happen while you're sleeping. You won't have to deal with it. And by the time you wake up, the body mechanisms have started and you won't feel as hungry when you wake up. It'll be easier. Plus, psychologically, you're going to think, I'm already more than halfway. If I screw it up now, I mean, when you're doing a marathon, when you start the marathon, oh God, how am I going to finish this, right? If you're running for like 5 kilometers or something, oh my Lord, I don't know if I can do this. Yeah. But once you get halfway, you're like at 3 kilometers. Well, gee, there's only 2 left. I can do it. I can do it. There's more behind me than there is in front. So if you do your fast this way, when you wake up, you're past the halfway mark. Even if you do feel hungry, psychologically, you're going to go, I'm already halfway. I can do it. And it's going to get you to your finishing point. It's going to get you, and you're going to notice for that second 12 hours, your hunger is going to drop, drop, drop. You're going to get to the 24-hour mark, and you're going to think, should I do a 36? Just to get the added benefit? It's pretty easy. I don't really feel hungry, right? And that's another key for people that are just starting. I had some times in the beginning before I kind of got fat adapted, where the body adapted to using ketones, that I would get kind of hungry in spurts, right? I'd feel hungry, I'd walk to the kitchen. I'd be at the kitchen, I'd open the fridge. And then I stopped and I asked myself one simple question. And I want everyone here listening to this, if you fast, use this, it's so powerful. You open up the fridge and you look at the food and just ask yourself, am I really hungry? And sort of feel your stomach, put your hand on your stomach and go, am I really hungry? And you're probably, like for me, it was like, I'm hungry, I gotta have food. Open the fridge, I gotta have food. I stopped and I asked myself, am I really hungry? And I thought about it for a second. I felt my stomach with my hand. And I thought, you know, I'm okay. I am okay. I can go another hour. I don't have to eat right now. I closed the fridge, went back to my desk, started doing something. I felt hungry again. I'd run back to the fridge. I'd ask myself the same question. Am I really hungry? And I thought, actually, I'm okay. I'm hungry, sure. I could eat, but I'm okay. Close the fridge, go back to the desk, start working on something. So that question is so powerful. It resets the mind. It gets you out of that eat thing, right? Just ask yourself, am I really hungry? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is going to be, I'm okay. Yeah, I could eat, but I'm okay. And close the fridge and you keep going on your fast.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. Thank you, George.
Yeah, it's I know it can be hard in the beginning. Sometimes some people have a hard time getting the routine. So these little things can help, right? They can really, really help. Another thing that'll help that I ought to point 3 is a high fiber diet before starting your fast with good fat and protein and low carbs. There's a reason for that. Carbs only take about 2 to 3 hours to get into the bloodstream and digest and get all going, right? So very fast, they're in and out. That's why we get spikes in blood sugar. That's why we get hungry really quickly after eating a high carbohydrate meal. Carbs are bad. So in life, we want to cut our carbs. I don't put sugar in my coffee anymore. I don't like bitter coffee, but I'm thinking health or sugar in my coffee. And after a while, coffee started tasting more delicious without sugar. It took a little while, but it started tasting more delicious without sugar. My body started rewarding me after I started dedicating to this, right?
Yeah.
So cutting sugar. And before I used to have 2 or 3 plates of rice because I never felt full. Now I have a little corner of rice on one plate and that's it. And I've added in a ton of salad onto the plate. If I feel hungry, I don't go for the rice, I go for the carrots. Why? Because carrots are very high in fiber. So carrots feel full.
Yeah.
Carrots are delicious and they have lots of benefits, vitamins and minerals and all the other kind of stuff too. But most importantly, they're high in fiber, which means they'll fill you up. They're great if you have to snack, right? So fiber is important for 2 reasons. Fiber will support your immune system. Most people don't realize this, right? But fiber supports your immune system. Most people think of fiber and going to the bathroom, right? That's what they think. Well, I haven't gone to the bathroom. I need to increase my fiber and I'll go to the bathroom and I'll feel healthier. And yes, that's true. But another aspect of fiber that most people don't realize is that the microbes in your stomach, the good bacteria, right? The good bacteria in your stomach eat fiber. When you eat high fiber diet, you're feeding the good bacteria in your stomach. And if you do that, that good bacteria that's good for you will devour the bad bacteria and molds and funguses. And by balancing that, you're improving your immune system. You're feeding the good microbes in your stomach. If you don't have a lot of fiber, you're starving them. If you're putting sugars and stuff, you're feeding the bad bacteria, really, because viruses and stuff like that, they love sugar, right? So high sugar diets, if you're sick, are terrible, right? Because of bacteria, or viruses, I should say, in particular, certain viruses thrive in a sugar environment, in glucose environment.
Yeah.
So cutting carbs.
Interesting information, George.
So the fiber is good for immune system, but it's also good because fiber makes you feel full, and it makes you feel full for a long time, which means you're not going to be too hungry at that 3 or 4 hour mark. You'll be able to get past it easier, right?
And this point, can we also add, George, that because you're eating food which is high in fiber, there is a tendency for people that when they're fasting, we don't get thirsty. And that was my situation. I did not get thirsty. And I noticed that when I was drinking water, it was actually a trigger for me to feel hungry. So I opted to not drink water until days passed, and I realized that I was getting constipated. I was listening more to my body, and it was because I was having more high fiber, foods, but not drinking water.
Okay. Yeah, you gotta have the water. The easiest way to make yourself feel a little bit thirsty, and it's also healthy too, is to maybe in your fast, at around the 12-hour mark, about the middle of a 24-hour fast, or like maybe an 8 hour mark if you're doing a 16, like kind of the middle of whatever fast you're doing, have a glass of water with like half a teaspoon of pink Himalayan sea salt and half a teaspoon of cream of tartar in the water. Now, the reason I say that is the Himalayan sea salt is a very great source of sodium. But of course, we don't need a lot of sodium, right? We don't need a lot of salt. And we want to avoid the table salt because it's not really the best for you. The Himalayan sea salt is a much more healthy, organic way to have sodium. But if you put a little bit of that in, number one, during your fast, you're going to lose minerals anyway. So salt and that little bit of salt and that little bit of cream of tartar is not going to break your fast. Like we're talking half a teaspoon, like very, very little in your water, right? Very, very little. But that will help replenish your sodium. But because in our bodies, we have a sodium-potassium balance, right? So sodium will make you feel a little bit thirsty. So once you replace the sodium, you're going to get, that'll take care of any headaches you may be feeling or anything like that. But it's also going to make you feel a little bit thirsty. So you'll drink a little bit more water, which is very healthy for you in your fast. But because there's a balance, cream of tartar is extremely high in potassium. Like it's probably the most dense potassium substance that there is you can put in your body. So having a little like half a teaspoon of cream of tartar in the water balances out that sodium potassium because you need potassium to balance the sodium, right? It's actually a 4-to-1 ratio, but because of the density of potassium and sodium, just a half teaspoon of each is fine. But in the body, we need about 4 times more potassium than sodium in the body to create an equal balance, actually.
That's great to know. That's good information.
So, yeah, that's a good thing to have halfway through your fast to support your fast. I also drink a lot of water, but in addition to water, I want to help support my body in detoxing the liver, in also burning more fat. So I tend to have water with apple cider vinegar and lemon. So, and I put, we were talking about that before. You usually put like a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in, right? And
I have done it in the past, but then you said apple cider vinegar and lemon, and I'm like, oh, that would be too acidic to me.
But it's so good. And there's this thing, oh, you don't want to be acidic, you want to be alkaline. And the problem is most people are too alkaline, and that causes problems too. You can cause comas, lots of health issues, huge problems by being too alkaline in your body. And it's all, what are you talking about? Are you talking about your stomach? If your stomach is alkaline, you're in big problems, right? If your stomach's alkaline, you have huge problems.
Yeah.
Right? If your stomach is really acidic, you have really healthy stomach, right? You want your stomach to be acidic. Most time when we talk about alkaline acidic, we're talking about our blood. Mm-hmm. We want our blood to be more alkaline, but I mean, there's a very small range. If you're like too alkaline, like a little bit up too alkaline, like very small, it's coma time. You're in the hospital in a coma, right? If you're too acidic, huge problems also within your blood. Your blood really has a very small range, right?
Mm-hmm. Balance, right? Everything is balance in life.
Yeah, and your body will have a homeostasis, right? Your body will balance your pH level in your blood. It'll keep it in a very small range. You can't swing it really either way, right? No matter how much you put in your body. But apple cider vinegar, because of the enzymes and the acidity, also supports the stomach. And also it supports the detoxification of your liver, because it has mechanisms within inside of it that it helps in the body, which has a lot of science attached, that helps the metabolism of fat. So it helps the body to get that fat out of the liver, right? So it's, I mean, at first there's different stages, right? First we use the carbohydrates, the glucose in the body. Then we get the glycogen out of the liver, which is the sugar stores in the liver. And then we start metabolizing the fat after all that's used. And that process takes, 16 to 24 hours before we actually start grabbing the fat out, right? So that's why I suggest these kind of things here. And to make it easy, the high fiber makes it easy. It supports the stomach. It doesn't make sure you don't get hungry. Fat is hugely important. Do not ever cut the fat out of your diet, ever. It's massively, massively important. I can't overstate that enough. I mean, it's hugely, hugely important. The reason is if you have fatty liver, you need to get the fat out of your liver. To get the fat out of your liver uses a substance called bile, right? Which is produced in the pancreas and everything else. Pancreas? I believe it's pancreas. If it's not, someone's going to correct me. But you need the bile to get into the liver, to flush it out, to get the fat out. You need to have a good amount of bile. To make bile, you have to have fat. Fat is the key ingredient to produce bile in the body, and bile is the key ingredient to detoxify the liver and get the fat out of the liver. So if you cut all the fat out of your diet and you have low carbs, low fat, and you're just primarily eating protein, you're going to have a hard time on your kidneys, and you're not going to detoxify your liver because your body's not going to produce enough bile to get the stuff out, right? So you gotta have fat in your diet, especially when you're fasting, because fat also takes about 9 hours to digest and process. So it also helps with the hunger, right? Because it takes a longer time. And dietary fat does not become body fat.
It was something that actually took me quite a while to process. And
Yeah.
like, what do you mean fat doesn't become fat on my
well, not directly, right? It doesn't become directly, whereas glucose becomes fat directly through lipolysis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through the process of lipolysis, carbohydrates and glucose become fat directly. But we have dietary fat. Dietary fat actually is used for other things first. Mm-hmm. And after that, could become fat after that in terms of if it's needed. But primarily, dietary fat does not become body fat. Mm-hmm. It's not its first function. But glucose first function is to be used for energy and fat, right? So make sure you have a good amount of fat. Like an example, for a meal before going into a fast for me, I would have a small a steak, a small beef steak, for example, or well, yesterday was like or day before yesterday was like a crocodile curry. Crocodile curry was all good, but just to make it easy, a small steak, and then some broccoli, which is fried in coconut oil, because coconut oil is very high in good fats, right? Mm-hmm. And because it's broccoli, you don't have to cook it on high heat. You just cook it on a low heat. You don't want to destroy the oils, right? So you're going to fry the broccoli in coconut oil on low heat, low to medium heat. And then with some garlic, because garlic's really good for the body. You just fry that up. That's it. You put that on beside the steak. I usually have a salad beside that, some lettuce, carrots, this and that. Mm-hmm. And I eat that, nothing else, no rice, no nothing, right? My carbohydrates are coming from the lettuce and salad, which is also high in fiber, right? And if you want to think of carbohydrates, it's kind of an interesting ratio. If you have 10 grams of carbohydrates and 8 grams of fat, those 8 grams of fat deduct from the carbohydrates, right? So if you look at a food that has 8 grams of carbohydrates, 10 grams of carbohydrates, 8 grams of fiber, then basically your net sum is 2 grams of carbohydrates. You can subtract the fiber from the carbohydrate, really, because fiber typically is a carbohydrate, but it's a different type, right? So you see those numbers, like in vegetables, well, vegetables have carbohydrates, but they're high in fiber. So the net carbohydrates are very low, right? So that's why, so I would have no rice. I'd have that steak with the fried broccoli, because broccoli is really good for starting a fast. It helps the body in so many ways. With some coconut oil for the fats, right? So it's cooked in the coconut oil. And then, a salad on the side. And that's how I would start my fast. So I got my protein, I got my fat, and I got my fiber. And I got a lot of nutrition to help go into the fast. Another way, if I'm focused on my liver, because I do different things for my fast. So if I focus on my liver, instead of having a steak, I'll eat liver. It's kind of funny. If you want to detoxify the liver, eat liver. because liver is also high in fat. Yeah. So the fat in the liver will actually help the body to produce more bile to detoxify the liver. So if you want to heal your liver, Eat some liver. Yes. Nature is so simple. Nature has given us all the clues that we need, right? And nature has assumed that we're stupid, right? You want to help the brain? Eat cauliflower. It looks like a brain, and it's also very good for your brain. You have problems with your eyes? Eat carrots. Well, guess what? Carrots look like eyes, right? You have problems with your heart? Well, guess what? Bell peppers are great for the heart. Tomatoes are great for the heart. What do they look like when you cut into them? They look like a heart, right? Nature has assumed that we're stupid. So it's given us all the clues we need to figure out what we need to do, right?
Yeah.
It's like walking a baby over. Okay, here's the, look at this and look at this. There you go. There's your answer. You don't have to overcomplicate it.
Yeah,
Right?
we don't, but we do.
But we do overcomplicate.
Men. Yeah.
So like, that's why I put that first comment, how to start your fast, stop eating. We don't need to overcomplicate it, right? If you want to fast, there you go. There's the solution, one statement. So I'm going to go on to the next. Is there anything on here you'd like to ask, or just should I go on to the next slide?
No, I'm fine. I think you're very clear in the information that you're sharing. It is so important. So thank you for sharing.
So here, I'm just going to show how to break your fast. So we know how to start. We know the benefits. We know how to start, but how to end your fast. Now, if you're doing a 16, like an 8-16 kind of fast, it doesn't really matter how you end it. It's no big deal. You can just, have a normal meal. You don't want to have a massive meal. It's not about replacing the calories you missed, no, nothing like that. You just want to have a normal plate of food, just like you normally would have if you're not fasting. You're not going to get a big plate of food, right? Just a normal plate of food. If you're doing a 24-hour plus fast, you want to be a little bit gentle with your stomach, because what happens at 24 hours, like I said, you're detoxifying your intestinal tract and your stomach. So you have a mucosal lining, like a lining of kind of goo, if you want to say it that way, in your stomach that protects the stomach lining from the acid in your stomach. When we eat, a lot of enzymes and acids get released into the stomach to digest the food. So we have a layer of goo, I guess you could say, or a mucosal layer that protects the layer of the stomach lining from the inside of the stomach. Now, when we fast, what are we doing? We're giving our stomach a break, right? It doesn't have to do anything. So that mucosal layer sometimes will go a little bit thin, right? It'll get thinner because it's taking a break. We don't have any food in there. It's relaxing for the first time in a long time, and this is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. What comes into play is if you have a big meal or a spicy meal or all this kind of heavy-duty food right after a fast, well, your mucosal layer has gotten kind of thin. You might get some like irritable bowel thing or an upset stomach or kind of bloating or not feeling 100%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the way to fix that is really easy. If you have a 24-hour plus fast, the way I break my fast, I put 2 options here to start to make it easy, just as like a simple 2 solutions.
Mm-hmm.
But you can find 100 other solutions, 100 other ways to break the fast in the same sort of way by using the same theory behind it. So one option is bone soup. So I basically take a bunch of beef bones, I throw them in a pot of water, I click on, I use a rice cooker to cook it, right? So I just put them in a rice cooker with water, I put the bones in there, I click it on until it's like boiling, then I click it off to the warm thing, right, where it just stays warm in the rice cooker, and I leave that all night. I do that the night before I go to bed after I started my fast. I let it go until the following day. So those bones are in there in the soup, and then when I wake up, I turn it on to boil it again, and then I flip it up to the warm and leave it on the warm again. And it cooks like that for about 20 hours. After 20 hours, I have a really nice bone broth, right? So when I go to break my fast, I'll have a small bowl of that bone broth, like just a normal small bowl.
Yeah.
And after 1 hour, so I'll have the bone broth, the small bowl, I'll wait for 1 hour, then I'll have my normal meal.
Yeah.
The reason for that is bone broth is, especially made in that way, is very high in collagen, right? So that mucosal layer is primarily made out of collagen. Well, it's mucus and stuff, but mucus, key ingredient in mucus is collagen, right? So as you have that bone broth, that layer starts to thicken up. The stomach starts to work, it starts to repair that layer. The collagen in the bone broth gives it all the material it needs to really do that quickly. And then when you eat your meal, your stomach's back to normal and everything's fine. It's no problem. The second way is a small bowl of plain yogurt, no fruit in the yogurt, just plain yogurt. I'll have a small bowl of yogurt. The probiotics in the yogurt, again, support the stomach, right? So I'll have a small bowl of yogurt, wait for 1 hour, and then a normal meal. And I've never once had a problem with my stomach doing it that way. So if you're having any problems with your stomach, just do it that way, like a bone broth to break the fast or a small bowl of yogurt to break the fast. Wait for 1 hour after you've had that, and then have your meal. That's it. But if you're doing a 24-hour fast, don't have the bone broth at 23 and then wait an hour and have your meal, because you've just broken your fast as soon as you've had the bone broth. So you will, if you have a 24-hour fast, at 24 hours you have the bone broth. Then you wait an hour, so you're at 25 hours, and then you have your meal, right? So you still want to get the benefits of your fast. You don't want to go early in breaking your fast or anything. You want to go as much as you remember. At 24 hours, every hour past that, the benefits are actually exponential. So if you're at 24 hours and you don't feel like eating yet, go to 26. Those 2 hours extra will be huge in benefits. So don't be like, oh, it's 24 hours, gotta eat. You can ask yourself, am I hungry? Maybe I'll go 26. Why not? Added benefits, then I eat, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think I have gone up to 30 hours.
Right
and
on.
the last hours are the hours that I feel that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna eat now because it is 30 hours without eating.
Right.
But not because I am really hungry or desperate.
Yeah, because your hunger will drop at that point a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
One of these days, I think probably on November, I'm going to do a 5-day fast in November.
Wow, that's crazy.
We're in April right now, so I'm going to continue with my 48-hour fast every 5 weeks, and then the two 24s for 3 weeks. But I want to do a 5-day one, but just before my birthday. My birthday's in December, so in November I'm going to do a 5-day, just going into December.
Great way to remember, right?
Yeah, so that's going to be a 5-day one for me, because there's huge benefits.
Yeah, now that you mentioned it about how to break fasting, I want to share a little bit about my experience. During the first weeks when I started doing the fasting, I started right away 2 days out of the week, and it was Tuesdays and Fridays. And after like 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, I started hearing really weird noises on my stomach that I was not, they were not noises of I'm hungry. Right. There was like something weird happening on my stomach. I got scared and I said, you know what, I'm just, because I think that's very crucial for us to have that inner dialogue and conversation among your mind and body connection. Here comes where your mind needs to be receptive about what your body is telling to the mind, right? So I went from fasting 2 days per week to 1 day per week, and it happens to be only Tuesdays. And after I noticed that the weird noise in my stomach was gone, I went back to 2 days per week. And I've been doing it now for over 3 months, 2 days, the 2 days per week. And I'm being just wonderful. So I think it is really cool that we're able to see what are the things that we can do to break the fasting. Other crazy thing, after the 24 hours, I was already planning what I was gonna be eating, and I will just pretty much stuff myself with food, and my stomach will act up. I will feel heavy. I will feel like I wanna throw up because I eat too much and very little time, and I didn't take the time.
That's why I say just have a normal plate of food. You don't want to, it's not about making the calories back. No, you don't, it's not about that. It's about just having a normal plate of food when you're done. Your body is working the way it's supposed to work. But the problem is your body's been working in a way it hasn't been supposed to work for so long. If you've been eating 3 meals a day or even all the time, because we're not even made to have 3 meals a day all the time. Our bodies need to have time where we don't eat.
Actually, I went back from having 3 meals per day to only having 2 meals per day.
That's good, yeah.
And I hardly snack, but if I have to, I'll just grab whatever snack, any snack bars. but I went down to 2 meals per day, and I totally feel my body doesn't need more than that.
Yeah, well, because we're acting the way we are designed to. That's the key. We're acting the way we're designed. And the medical community has a problem. The problem with the medical community, doctors are great. They learn a lot of really good stuff, and they know a lot of stuff, and we're blessed to have them for a lot of things that they can fix for us. But the problem is the education for doctors is primarily paid for by pharmaceutical companies.
That is.
So they're not taught about how to heal you. They're taught about what drug to give you when you're sick with what sickness.
That just blows my mind. Yeah. It blows my mind.
They want to heal you, but they're trained to give you drugs. They're not trained on how to heal you, right? Wow. And that's a problem with most medical practitioners. They want to heal you. That's why they became doctors. But through their education, all they learn is how to give you drugs, which is unfortunate.
Unfortunately, that's how it is, yeah.
But I mean, every single person who's a doctor, their whole mission in life is to heal us. The problem is their education guides them down this really awkward road, right? So, which is really unfortunate, and they're indoctrinated into a certain way of doing things. But we definitely need them for, once we're screwed, we definitely need them for, like, we have the problems to fix the serious problems. But the thing is, we can prevent most of those problems. And that's what this is about, right? Preventing all those serious problems. So we don't need to go to the doctor to fix us, right? I have the second point here was after the 1 hour little thing like the bone soup or yogurt, have a normal meal, not a big one, just a normal size.
Not a big one like I did.
And there's another point here. It's important not to combine carbs and fat on that meal. So very, 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 very important. The reason is that if you have insulin resistance, by fasting, you're going to improve your insulin sensitivity. You're going to be more sensitive to insulin. Insulin's going to be more efficient. It's going to start working better again, right? So what happens when carbs go? Carbs initiate insulin, right? Glucose spikes your insulin because it sees sugar, it spikes insulin. There we go. Now what insulin does is it opens the cell walls in order for us to get energy going into the cell to use for our daily activities and their body functions and all that kind of thing, right? So the insulin goes up, the cells accept the stuff into them to be able to use. Now, because you're hypersensitive to insulin after a fast, especially as you do more, you're gonna be more and more sensitive to insulin, which is really good, because that means your insulin levels are going to drop. It's going to work better, which means you're going away from type 2 diabetes. Right? So it's a very good thing. But the problem relies in if you have carbs and fats together, carbs are opening up the cell walls to accept nutrients, and you're giving fat. So insulin spikes, cells are opening up, and they're accepting fat into their cells. It's more complicated than that, but in the most simplest terms, that's what it is. The process is much more complex, right? The process is much more complex. But we're not a university class, and we're not going to go into the science. But on a very basic level, that's what's happening. So if you combine carbs and protein, that's okay, right? Because now you're putting protein into the cells. And protein can be used to develop muscle, can build the body, and stuff like this. So carbs and protein are okay. Fat and protein is okay because fat and protein is not going to give you the insulin spike. So here's you have your level of insulin. You eat carbohydrates, boom, your insulin spikes to here. You eat fat and protein, boom, your insulin spikes to here, right? So you're not going to get as much of an insulin reaction to fat and protein. So combining fat and protein together is okay. Combining carbs or glucose and protein together is okay because it allows the body to accept the protein easier. But carbs and fat, we don't want to put those together because we don't want the body getting confused and stuffing, fat into our cells, which is really what we want to get out of our cells by fasting, right?
Yeah. So
when you break your fast, carbs and protein together, fat and protein together, this is the way to go, not carbs and fat together. So just as a little extra, especially if you want to get the fat out of your body, if you're focusing on like a fatty liver or you just want to lose the weight. This is an important key to remember.
Sure, yeah. Thanks for sharing that, George.
Yeah, these are just a few things. There's so much more, but just to give these guys something to start with, right? Something to start with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see, what do I have for the next slide? How long? Okay, we've talked about this throughout, I think, already.
Yeah, throughout the session we did.
Resistance or fatty liver, 2 to 3 times a week, 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
If you're over 40 years old, also do the 24 hours.
Yeah.
Because it holds the most benefits. And if you're over 40 years old, you've probably damaged your body enough that you really need the 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
If you're younger than that and you have no real fatty liver, no insulin resistance, you're pretty good shape already, but you just want to be healthier, then, you know, the 16-hour fast, so 8-hour eating window. Oops, I'm sorry, I clicked on that one. Let's go back one more. So now I have an 8-hour eating window. One second. No, I don't have COVID. Okay.
You sure? I'm glad we're in a long distance call.
Something in my throat there for a second. So your 8-hour eating window, that doesn't mean you eat for 8 straight hours. You do not do that, right?
Thank you for the clarification. I like that.
Your 8-hour eating window on a 16/8 means you're going to eat 2 times in an 8-hour window. So you'll probably have maybe at noon, you have your lunch, and at maybe 7 p.m., you'll have your dinner. And you're not going to eat between. You're just going to have 2 normal meals. You don't have to make them big because you're eating twice. It's not necessary. Just 2 normal meals, and that's it. You don't have to make them super big. You're not made to make them super big. You want to get rid of, you know, the excess anyway, right? And skinny people have an excess of 300,000 calories.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to starve. So, focus on nutrition. You know, make sure you got, and when I say nutrition, that's a whole university course. That's hundreds of hours of lecture, right?
Now, is there a right way to go? I see that you have generally, you will go 4 weeks fasting, then 2 weeks no fasting and repeat. Is this how it should be? Because I don't have breaks pretty much.
I'm going to go into that in just a second.
Fridays. All right.
I just want to talk about the meal first, really quickly. And
Sure.
I'll come to that. The thing with the meal is, because nutrition is such a big topic, I really encourage everyone to study some kind of nutrition kind of thing if they can, like a free course online or get a nutrition textbook. That's awesome. I'll try to do more nutrition videos if I can to help you guys out.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Why not?
But basically, on a fundamental level, the way to think about it is color your plate. If you have a plate of food, think of one thing first, and that is carbohydrates never take up more than 25% of your plate. Keep them 25% less of carbohydrates on that plate, right, per size. Like a little corner of your carbohydrates, there's your rice or your potato or whatever, no more than a quarter of your plate for that. That'll be fine. And the rest of your plate is going to be your protein, whatever that is, whether it's fish, chicken, this, that. If you're a vegetarian, it's going to be kind of beans or lentils or whatever kind of thing. But the key ingredient to make sure you're eating healthy is color your plate. What I mean by that is pick vegetables and stuff of lots of different colors. Have some purple, have some green, have some orange, like carrots are orange, right? Bell peppers can be yellow. Cabbage can be purple, right? Color your plate. Pick a lot of different colors of vegetables, because that's the key to nutrition. I mean, without getting into a university level course, the simplest way to think, if you want to have a nutritious meal, color your plate. That's it. On a baby level, right? The simplest level. If you color your plate, I can almost guarantee you, you will have all the nutrition you need in every possible way, right? So that's just color your plate is the easiest comment I can make for how to have a nutritious meal.
Great, yeah, good.
And you had asked about the schedule. The reason I have 4 weeks fasting and then 2 weeks fasting and no, actually I tend to do 1 week off, actually. I'm just coming off of a couple weeks off because of with the COVID thing, and my routine kind of got messed up being here at home all the time and having family here at home all the time. But I'm back on track today, so I'm all good. But the reason is that your body is really good at adapting, right? So if you're fasting all the time, your body is going to adapt to you fasting all the time. And the benefits are going to start to decrease, right? So we don't want the body to adapt. We want to shock the body, make sure it doesn't adapt, come back, so the body gets confused. It goes, are we fasting? Are we not fasting? What should I do? Okay, I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to stay the way I am. And what happens is the benefits stay the way they are, right? So the body doesn't adapt to fasting all the time because you're not fasting all the time. So it's not sure when you are, when you're not. So it stays at where it is. It doesn't change.
But
So
doesn't that same thing could happen? Doesn't same thing could happen if you have 4 weeks fasting and then 2 weeks, and then your body can also be able to pretty much perceive or identify that there is a 2 weeks after a long time of doing it.
Remember, your body is not a conscious thing. It's not thinking, okay, you got 4 weeks on, 2 weeks off. I get it. It's not thinking like that. All it's thinking is, okay, we've been fasting. Our habit has been like this for a while. Should I start to change? Well, everything changed. Okay, I'm not going to change. Well, everything changed again. Oh, okay, I'll do a little bit of what I was doing. And then, oh, we're back to this again. It doesn't think, oh, it doesn't see the pattern, right? Your body is not intelligent enough to recognize the pattern. It only sees what's going on all the time. So it sees you going like this. Should I adapt? Boom, you've changed direction. You're not fasting. Okay, I'm not going to adapt. And boom, I'm fasting again. Okay, I got to start generating ketones and using up all this stuff. Should I adapt? Boom, you're eating normally again. Okay, I'm not going to adapt because now we're back to this. It doesn't see the pattern. It just keeps getting shocked and keeping and not changing, not adapting, right? So on a conscious level, we understand the pattern. But on a molecular level, on a body level, the body doesn't understand the pattern. It just understands what's going on all the time.
Yeah, so pretty much the body is conditioned.
Yeah, it gets conditioned, right? It's a conditioned response. So that's why I suggest 4 weeks on, 1 week off, 2 weeks off. You can also switch up the days. You're doing Tuesday, Thursday, then do Monday, Wednesday. Or then just do Wednesday for a week, and then do 3 days the next week, right?
It is important to have fun, right? It's important to have fun and not be, I mean, commitment is good, but we don't have to
commit to fasting. But you're going to commit to fasting, but you don't have to commit to a specific schedule, right? For me, Tuesday, Friday, this week. Next week, I'm thinking maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The week after, maybe Tuesday, Thursday. The week after, I'll do a 48-hour. Then I'll stop for a while. Then I'll come back, and maybe I'll do one day. Maybe I'll do a Tuesday, depending if I have a very stressful week. Yeah. And a lot of things going on. Maybe I'll just cut to 1 day. And then I'll do 3 days the next week to make up for it. And then I'll go back to it. So the body doesn't know what's going on. The body kind of gets what's going on, so it doesn't adapt, right? It keeps at a high level to maintain what's going on, right? So don't worry about routine. Commit to fasting, but mix it up. Have fun with it. Shock the body a little bit, right? Keep it guessing. Keep the body guessing is the thing to think about. That'll give you a lot of benefit.
Yeah, cool, great.
That's this. Anything else on here?
No.
Okay, and now I just have 3 keys to health here at the end, just to kind of sum things up, because fasting is only one key, right? If we have fasting and no sleep and crappy food, well, guess what? We're not going to have that healthy body, right? If we have fasting and great food but not proper sleep, we're going to improve, but we're still not going to be healthy, right? If we have fasting and proper sleep, we're going to improve, but if we have a crappy diet, we're still going to have problems, right? These are the 3 primary keys. If you want to have a healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy future, you have to have these 3 keys in place. So we've talked about fasting today. Great food, that's a whole bunch of topics there. And proper sleep is so very important for so many ways. The reasons for sleep are just staggering, how important sleep is, and when you sleep, how long you sleep, your sleep environment, how you go to sleep is important, your there's just so much in this one topic here that we could talk about.
Let's stop talking about sleep because it is going to be 1 a.m. here in California.
Oh, that's 1 p.m. here in Thailand. So.
Like I'm going to go to sleep now.
I'll just leave this slide up so people can have a look at the slide while we're finishing off. We're not going to focus on this. This is just for them to think about. And if there's something here they would like to see more of, they can leave a comment or they can let us know and we can make something on this for them. Would be good. I put, again, cut the sugar and artificial sweeteners because artificial sweeteners will cause an insulin response. Right? So, during a fast, very quickly. During a fast, nothing goes in your mouth except water.
Yes.
With the exception of maybe black coffee. I only have one, though. I never have more than 1 cup of black coffee when I'm fasting. I don't want to put too much coffee. I don't want to be drinking coffee, because that's not good either, right?
I heard some people is also drinking teas, herbal teas.
Tea is okay, but again, no honey, no sugar, no milk. Black tea is fine. Again, 1 cup. Don't go crazy.
What would happen? Water. What will happen? Have you ever drink 2 cups of coffee or maybe even 3 when you're fasting? Have you seen any reaction? How your body interacts?
I don't want to. I don't want to break my fast. I don't want to cause any problems in my fast. My goal is to really help my body. So if I'm not fasting, I'll have 2 or 3 cups of coffee in a day. But if I'm fasting, I really want to focus on water.
Yeah.
Yes. Now this is just water, right? But if I have water, apple cider vinegar, I'll fill it to this level with water, and then this section here will basically be apple cider vinegar and lemon. Pretty much 50-50. About that's how much I fill it if I'm going to do it. And I have that's in the fridge actually. I have one in the fridge of this with water, apple cider vinegar, and lemon. That I'll go have some after the video.
Yeah. See, I'm not a coffee person. And I'm not a coffee person. And one of those days that I was fasting, I had a coffee and I noticed that my body was interacting with the coffee, and I drink decaf, not even regular coffee, decaf. And I noticed how my body was interacting because I was fasting. I had nothing on my body.
One thing I do with this coffee that's different than normal, like black coffee, I suggest. I do one thing different with this. I put 2/3 of a teaspoon of turmeric in the coffee.
Turmeric,
it's not really delicious. It doesn't improve the taste of the coffee at all, at least not for me. It makes it kind of a spicy, peppery kind of coffee, which may be completely something you don't like. It's like, for me, normal coffee is this delicious. Coffee with turmeric is this delicious.
Yeah.
But I do it to support the fast because turmeric, especially combined with coffee, the caffeine in coffee and turmeric, creates a process in the body that encourages the production of brown adipose tissue, right? So while you're fasting, you're also like having cold showers and stuff as well. Cold showers combined with turmeric and also a little bit of pepper. I put a dash of pepper in with the turmeric. That's why it's peppery, because the turmeric, the black pepper will activate the turmeric. So a little bit of turmeric, a dash of black pepper in my coffee. It's not super delicious. I do it during the fast for a very specific reason, and that is to promote the production of brown adipose tissue. Yeah. So adipose tissue is fat, right? But brown adipose tissue, in contrast to white, brown adipose tissue is molecularly active. What it means is brown adipose tissue uses calories. It uses energy. So that means you're using fat to burn fat.
Yeah.
So and also the turmeric encourages the transition. Taking white adipose tissue, it transitions to brown adipose tissue, becoming molecularly active. So you're changing some of your fat to a material that's going to burn more fat.
Yeah.
That's why I do it. It's not really delicious, but it's a small thing. It doesn't do it to a huge degree, right? But the fasting combined with that special coffee, combined with cold showers, combined with proper sleep, all these things together contribute to the production of the brown adipose tissue. right? So there's a lot of factors involved in it. That's why I have this little chart with sleep and food and fasting all mixed together.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Great
the
information.
only thing going in your mouth should be water, maybe a cup of coffee, cup of tea, nothing else in your fast. Just nothing. Because as soon as we start asking questions, can I have this? Can I have a glass of milk? No, milk will break your fast, right? Can I have this? No, it'll break your fast. Why even risk it? If it's 50-50, it might not. If you're on a 24-hour fast, you're at 20 hours. And if you break your fast, it's a light switch, right? If you've spiked your insulin, you lose the 4 hours of benefits that would come in the next 4 hours of your fast. They're gone. And you don't get them back. You can't just wait for a little bit of time and it starts again. Fasting starts at 0. You flip that light switch on, the timer starts going. You flip the light switch off, even for an instant, you reset to 0. And you have to go another 24 hours to get to those benefits at the end. So why even risk breaking the fast?
That is a great way to remember what fasting is.
Yeah, stick to the water, a cup of coffee. Just don't even think about anything else, because if you break your fast, you lose all the benefits of the fast, even if you think you're still fasting. If you've spiked that insulin, you're done. You've reset the clock to 0. So don't reset the clock. Just stick to water, stick to tea, coffee.
Yeah.
And never more than 1 cup.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to mention, if you have any other slide, but something that comes down to mental health. As for my experience, I did start doing the fasting as a challenge, kind of like mind over matter. I wanted to make sure that I was able to control my hunger, and I eat when I was hungry. And the benefits of me fasting for all these months is that I am more focused, much more productive, and I am pretty much doing better mentally and emotionally. I'm doing a lot better. Never thought I was ever gonna be in this state of mind.
Well, it's a survival instinct, right? When we start fasting, our body goes into survival mode. Now, what does that mean exactly? There's a lot to that, but just to give you a very simple picture. If you're walking down the street, you turn and you're thinking about your job, you're thinking about what you're going to cook for dinner, that you have to do your laundry, that, oh, what's going to happen for the holidays? I got to pick the kids from school. Oh, I got to go shopping for this. There's a million things on your mind while you're walking down the sidewalk. If you turn the corner and right in front of you is a tiger ready to pounce on you and eat you, how many things are you thinking about? You're not thinking about anything except for that tiger and getting the hell out of there, right? Survival instinct. Your brain just goes, boom, focuses on one thing and done, right? And this is what happens in fasting. You're putting your body in kind of a survival mode. So your body, including your mind, is going to go, what's important right now? And all the frivolous stuff that's floating around, it's just going to go, get out of here. And it's going to focus on, boom, you're going to get laser focused on things. That's why Silicon Valley, they do the fasting, right? They get focused, creative, they come up with creative solutions, they get really focused on their work. Because your body's in survival mode. Your brain also goes into survival mode. It gets hyper-focused.
And now because you're focused, there is less thinking, right? There is more doing and less thinking. So when you do that, there is less overthinking.
And it lowers your stress because now you've cut a lot of the things you don't need to think about, that you worry about, right? Now they're deleted. Your stress level will also go down.
Correct.
And fasting improves a lot of other things, like through a lot of processes, physiological processes, as well as psychological processes. Fasting will also improve high blood pressure, right?
Yeah, tons.
It improves it
regulates the stress levels. It directly affects your pressure.
Partly through the ketones and the body functions and the mechanisms improves the blood pressure, but also psychologically from that mind cutting everything and becoming more focused will also cut your high blood pressure because it's also tied to stress.
Yes, that is correct.
So
that was an amazing topic. I'm very happy that we were finally able to make it happen.
That's great.
You're offering your coaching services, right? Are you doing one-on-one or are you also doing group coaching? Tell us a little bit about that. How can people reach out to you?
Well, I got the website here from my website. They can reach me through there. They can reach me through you, of course. And they can find me at, I think it's George Knight Coach or something on Facebook. I can't remember what I have for my Facebook profile. If you put George Knight, you'll probably be able to find my picture under pages. Like put George Knight with pages, you'll probably see my picture. And
Yes.
I have that for the profile for the page. They can contact me through there. Night Hypnosis also has a page because I separated my coaching from my hypnotherapy on Facebook.
Yeah.
So they can contact me through there. But yeah, doing one-on-one coaching, if anyone wants some help. I mean, fasting's easy, right? You just don't eat. But it's nice to do it with someone. And it's also nice to have a coach in terms of accountability. So we not only fasting, but we also look at everything in your life. When I coach my clients, I have 12 parts of their life that I coach.
Yes.
So we have health, we have fitness, we have family, we have parenting, we have career, we have business, we have all these different things. There's 12 segments that I have that I use to coach my clients now. So yes, I can help you with accountability and to fasting and to work with that. But for my clients on one-on-one, I also work on everything. I believe in a holistic approach, right?
Yes.
By fixing our finances, by fixing our relationships, by fixing our health, all these things tied together to create a happy and fulfilled life, right? So on one-on-one, I work with my clients that way. I'd like to do some group coaching stuff too, because I know that sometimes people can't afford to have a coach one-on-one. So
especially during this
and with the
pandemic
COVID
that we
thing,
have
some people
going
are not
on.
working, and some people are having problems with work and stuff with the things that are going on. So I'm perfectly willing to get small groups together for coaching. I think no more than 10 people. That way we can really focus on the individuals. If more than 10, it's hard to help each and every one of them.
Yeah.
But if we can get 1 or 2 or even up to 3 or 4 small groups, I'd be willing to meet with them every. We could do that.
That's excellent.
I'd love to do that because right now things are so rough. My neighbors have music on right now.
They're throwing party.
It's Thailand, yeah. It's like,
Thailand.
My window is open, so I get all coming in from the side. It's COVID-19. Everyone's at home.
Then it is time to let you go so you can go join the party.
I can't join the party. I'm locked in my room. I don't know where they've been. So and that's another thing right now with COVID-19. I'm in Thailand, and I just want to say one thing in regards to this for everyone who's watching. This thing that's going on is very serious. And in Thailand, we've taken it seriously. And because of that, things are okay here. But even being okay, we're still taking it seriously. The reason I want to say this is Thailand was pretty much the 3rd country in the world infected. Right? Japan got it right after, Japan and Korea got it after China. We got it after them. So we're one of the first countries infected. We've had a total of 2,500 cases. A total. Right? Only 2,500 cases. We got like Bangkok's under curfew, 10 o'clock. If you're out of your house after 10 o'clock, you'll get arrested. Bangkok, a city of 16 million people. That's how serious it is. You go to the bank, and you have to be 2 meters away from the counter. They hold a fish net on a pole out to you to put your money and your deposit slip on, and to give to them. You can't go up to the counters.
Wow.
And we only have 2,500 cases, and there's a population of 65 million people in Thailand. We have a massive population in an area which is half the size of the province I grew up in Canada. So we're all packed together. But we've taken it so seriously here, we have very few cases. And then I look at the West, at North America and Europe, like US, that has almost 1 million cases. And it's only been there for a fraction of the time that it's been here. And we have a big population that, taking precautions is the only thing that saved us out here.
Absolutely.
So
fasting is one of those things. Yeah.
Yeah, we bought some plastic, like some clear plastic, to create face shields. So we wear a mask, and I got these great masks. I just want to show it because I want people to understand. I want people to be healthy. I want people to be okay.
I think we should also do one in regards to how they can protect. We can do one soon.
We got these here. They cost $1. There are 3 layers of fabric. So there are 3 layers of fabric, and inside they have this little pocket where you can actually put a surgical mask or another mask inside for an added filter.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 3 layers of protection, and you can add a 4th layer inside.
Great idea.
So that's what people in Thailand are wearing. These cost $1. We can get them for $1 here.
Mm-hmm.
And then a face shield to protect your eyes, because most infections come from eyes, nose, mouth, right?
Correct.
You go up the stairs, you touch the railing, and you wipe your nose. Guess what? You're infected. That easy.
That
right?
easy.
Wearing latex gloves.
Great advice. Great advice.
Latex gloves are awesome for one reason. They're not comfortable to touch your face. If you touch your face with a latex glove, it feels bad, right? So if you wear a latex glove, you protect your hands, but you're not going to want to touch your face.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, research shows we touch our face roughly 200 to 300 times a day, unconsciously. So I just want people listening, I want them to be healthy, I want them to be safe. So take the precautions. Even if you look silly, even if people ridicule you, who cares? You're not going to get sick.
Definitely. So that's why, because you want people to stay healthy, we're going to continue to do more Zooms. And today we touched the topic about intermittent fasting, but there are more topics to come.
Oh yeah,
I want to appreciate your time, George.
All right. And if they're interested in coaching, they can reach me through you if they're interested in coaching or creating a group with the both of us. We can do something.
Yeah, we can always team up.
Yep. If they want to have both of us, I'm in.
Mm-hmm. There you go. They just have to raise their hand and we'll be there.
Yeah, whatever they want. Right now, I think it's so important to help people right now, because right now people are not only suffering, but they're afraid.
Yes, that's one of the main reasons right now we're doing free live coaching, some sessions during COVID-19. So
yeah, it's our job to help them, especially in US.
Yes. Yeah, so thank you, George. I really appreciate your time, and we're going to stay in touch. And I don't want to say adios. I just want to say bye, and we'll see you soon in another Zoom.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today. We'll see you soon.
You're welcome. You take care.